What a great time to be a football fan. I mean, we just had the college football playoff start Friday and Saturday of this past week. Then we had even NFL games on Saturday. Then obviously a full slate on Sunday. We get Monday night football. Then one day off, a couple college football bowls. Then you get Wednesday, some great matchups. By the way, the exact 4 teams that played on Saturday are playing on Christmas. It's kind of wild. It's almost like it would have been cooler if it was like a winner's bracket, like if the Chiefs and the Ravens played and then the Steelers and the Texans who lost those games played.
Right.
Obviously, that's not what we got, but it's still pretty cool, and it's obviously done that way, so there's not a humongous disadvantage in terms of rest between games. But yeah, no, I'm very excited for this week of ball. I mean, I think there's a Thursday night game
there is
as well.
Bears play on Thursday against
I'm
Seattle.
actually going to that game.
Bro. Yeah,
silly old
you
me.
knew that. But yeah, this is like the busiest week of the entire year for football because you've got games just like every single day, and it's awesome. Great for holiday viewing when you're tired of spending time with your presents. Just turn on the TV and watch some ball, bro.
Absolutely. I know I will have those games on Christmas Day without a shadow of a doubt. I do kind of wish there were some Christmas Eve games, as there usually are, but I think it's just because it's a Tuesday. It's kind of a weird, awkward scheduling.
Yeah, just the Hawaii Bowl, unfortunately.
Yeah, hey, we can work with the Hawaii
but
Bowl, a little South Florida at San Jose State. I can definitely work with that. Let's get into it, guys. Obviously, just a short little recap of last week. We're actually, out of full transparency, recording this Monday night before the game has even started between New Orleans and Green Bay, just because the holiday is, of course, tomorrow. So you get this episode a day early, but you don't really get our recap of one of the most scintillating matchups of the year. Jake Haener leads the New Orleans Saints up to Lambeau Field, Jordan Love and Green Bay, 14-point favorites. Obviously, I'm kidding. It's probably one of the worst matchups, humongous favorites. I'd probably take Green Bay. I'd buy them down to 13.5 and take them to cover there without. Yeah, I really should probably take that bet like right now. But yes, I'm sure Green Bay will win. If they don't,
we just went ahead and we marked ourselves as as having Green Bay won this game, and we're factoring that into our records. Of course, we'll go back and change that later on, but everyone picked Green Bay for this pod anyways, so it really shouldn't matter too much.
Yeah, a little retroactive audit would be in need if the Saints were to somehow pull off one of the biggest upsets of the entire season, probably actually the biggest just in terms of point spread.
It would, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but New England almost did yesterday.
No, that is
that
true.
Was a 4. Dude, that bet was so good. Remember, I talked myself into taking this Patriots plus 14. Easiest bet.
Dude,
ever.
It was so surgical. I mean,
know.
Why does Buffalo struggle with New England so much every year?
I didn't think it was going to be even that close.
It shouldn't have been.
Especially since it was at Buffalo.
Yeah.
But it must just be something, a little mental block, almost like Ohio State and Michigan. But getting into the recap of our best bets, I didn't tabulate it. I do think I had a winning week, though. I didn't get the Houston money line, but I'm almost glad I didn't, because it would have been at minus 118, because at that point it was predicted that Patrick Mahomes wouldn't have started when he was confirmed to be starting. I think it got all the way up to like plus 140. Chiefs were minus 2.5. So I'm honestly happy I didn't hit that one. Thursday Night Football, though, the Chargers minus 3, another great bet. Wasn't looking good early on, but after they hit that crazy field goal to end the half, it felt like the momentum completely switched. And the over 42 in that game was one of the easiest bets of the week. Pittsburgh. Now, guys, Mike Tomlin, Steelers head coach, as an underdog, is historically hitting, covering the spread at like 63%. Look it up. But the last 2 weeks against the Eagles and the Ravens, in which he has been underdogs, it's obviously not hit. So that's why I love them to cover against the Chiefs. I mean, the law of averages has to kick in, because if you lose 3 in a row as an underdog against the spread, and historically you've covered at a 63% rate, I mean, that's a sign of bad things to come.
Of course.
It's a bad streak. Anyways, SMU Penn State under 54 hit, although Penn State almost got to it themselves. Clemson, Texas, under 51, did not hit. Tennessee, Ohio State, under 47, did not hit. A little higher scoring in both of those games than I thought. I really thought Ohio State would not perform so well. I cannot believe. I mean, they literally pitched the perfect game, so that's what happens there. The under in the Indiana Notre Dame game did hit. Florida minus 13.5 against Tulane, another really good bet I was really good about, really confident on. Giants plus 10. I mean, I really like this bet when they confirmed Penix as a starter, which we did not know at the time of recording last week, but because of a couple of pick sixes, turnovers from Drew Lock, that did not hit. The Jets looking like they were going to cover the 3.5 alt spread. That did not happen. Washington plus 3.5 hit, and they won. Seattle plus 3. I should have taken the 3.5 like I sometimes do because they would have covered that, but it's just a nice little refund. And then to conclude here, Dallas plus 4, New England plus 14, San Fran, Miami over 44.5 all hit. And you had a really good week as well.
Yeah, you had one more bet there, Tampa Bay, Dallas, under 48.5. That was super close to hitting, but yeah, unfortunately.
It really looked like it was going to hit there for a good majority of the game.
Yeah, just snuck over, but yeah, still a profitable week for you, bro. You were up 1.2 units, and
sweet.
Also, just this makes it sound so much better, but your record on the year, 206 and 180. That sounds awesome, bro.
That does. To be up 26.
Yeah. That sounds
with 9 refunds in there. Yeah, that's not bad at all.
Sounds so nice, bro. So yeah, I like that a lot. Definitely some good performance out of you. And yeah, I hit 4 of 5 bets last week. And Denver plus 3, I had still liked that line, and it was looking good at the start of the game. And they got up to like 24-13. They were winning at one point, and then the Chargers just kind of clawed back and. Yeah, I don't know what happened there. Tough performance out of the Broncos, but in any case, that one did not hit. The other ones, though, were nice. Cincinnati, minus 7.5, looked very solid there against Cleveland. I think the final was 24-6. Then you have Detroit minus 6.5. They've just been like my go-to bet every week, picking Detroit to cover the spread. Had full confidence in them facing the Bears. Then you got the Colts minus 3.5. I mean, JT just going insane to let this bet hit. And
I mean, he better have after what he did last week against the Broncos.
Yeah,
I mean, this was pretty much the only way to redeem yourself.
Right,
and I guess you could say he did because they would not have won the game without him.
Exactly, yeah. Tennessee kind of started coming back there at the end, but I don't know if it was really garbage time points or what. But
I mean, I don't think it was because they really did have an opportunity to win that game if the Colts didn't put it away.
Right, agreed, yeah. And then you've got Philadelphia at Washington over 45.5. Dude, I talked about this game in the last week's pod, referencing last year's game when it was like 35-34 or something like that as the final, and like this year 36-33. Like, I love when these two teams play and it gets up into the 30s like that. I thought this was a great bet. Absolutely soared over 45.5. Really nice.
Yeah, no, some good bets there overall. I really like some of those favorite bets that you took. Just completely ignoring traditional wisdom, taking the 7.5, 6.5, 3.5.
Thanks, dude.
But it all worked out there in the end. So let's surge on into the second to last week of the NFL season with our picks and predictions, starting with those Christmas games, Kansas City at Pittsburgh. First off, am bewildered that they went ahead and started Patrick Mahomes in a game where, I mean, they have a very solid backup in Carson Wentz playing a decent Houston team at home 4 days before you have to go on the road and play one of the better teams in the AFC and risk it. Yeah. I mean, I am bewildered that they did that. They could have lost that game and still had the number 1 seed. That's worrisome, I think, for this game. And again, like I talked about with Pittsburgh and Mike Tomlin being so great as an underdog against the spread and even just straight up, I have to go with the Steelers here. I think I've now picked them 2 of the last 3 weeks. I did not pick them against the Ravens, but it'd be hard for me not to continue to have faith in this trend and just stick with it until it hits, which it's bound to.
Yeah, not a bad pick by any means, but I just have to keep rolling with the Chiefs here. I mean, Mahomes had said that the injury that he was playing through was worse last year than the one that he's playing through right now.
Yeah, I mean, he's a tank, man. This guy never gets injured. It's absolutely crazy. Him and Josh Allen.
I know.
On wood.
It's wild. But although Allen now supposedly dealing with a broken hand for the entire season. Did you see this?
I did not see that, actually. A broken hand?
Yeah,
probably his left hand.
Apparently he's been playing with a broken hand since week 1. And now he's marked as questionable for this week.
I mean, when you're dating and engaged to Haley Steinfeld, I don't know why you would, have a broken hand.
Yeah, no, he needs that hand for special purposes, it seems. But yeah, in any case, I'm still taking the Chiefs here. Mahomes is going to use his hands and his feet for a lot of good in this game, and I think he'll still come in clutch and get a win for Pittsburgh. They got to lock up that number 1 seed. If they beat Pittsburgh here this week, they will indeed do so.
Yeah, I mean, having that home field advantage, only one team getting a bye nowadays, is extremely significant.
Right.
I just don't see them going too far in the playoffs. I really think they're going to flame out, though. They just have not been winning consistently. I mean, again, another close game against the Texans that could have gone either way if C.J. Stroud didn't turn the ball over a couple times. So,
right.
Anywho, moving on to Baltimore at Houston, a rematch of the playoff game last year, but now at Houston. Doesn't really matter. I think Baltimore should be able to win. Houston's not been very impressive. C.J. Stroud, almost a completely different quarterback this year compared to last year. The book's been out on him tremendously. And, going into the season, we kind of figured there would be some sophomore slumps. Is it going to be more Jordan Love? Is it going to be more C.J. Stroud? And I have to say, I feel like Stroud has been worse this year than Jordan Love has, especially how hot Jordan Love got last year. I mean, he's maybe not playing quite as well, but I still think he's playing fairly well compared to C.J. Stroud, who has just turned the ball over way more than last year and has not been as productive and efficient. Baltimore, on the other hand, is an absolute juggernaut. I still don't know really how they lost to the Eagles. I thought that was a little strange and a little concerning, but Lamar Jackson, one of the most consistent players during the regular season, wins like 80% of his games, so it's just impossible to really bet against him, even on the road in this spot.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, I'm also taking Baltimore here. If you just look at the touchdown to interception line for these two guys, you've got CJ with 19 touchdowns, 11 picks, and Lamar with 37 touchdowns and only 4 picks. So he's got double the amount of touchdowns and essentially a third the amount of interceptions. It's hard to bet against a QB like that. Houston has definitely sort of regressed as the season has gone on here. I honestly thought CJ started off the season a little bit stronger than he's playing now, and it's kind of counterintuitive. You'd think he'd continue to get better as the season goes along, but yeah, I haven't really been seeing that, so I'm going to have to be taking Baltimore here.
Good call there. Now the game I'll be at, my second NFL game of the season, actually, because we went to the Bills-Texans.
Yep.
Seattle at the Bears. Because I'm going to this game, because I've actually never gone to a Bears game in which they've lost. I have to take the Bears here to win.
Wow. There's a first time for everything, though, dude.
I know, and I think this is probably one of the most least likely spots for them. Last year, however, let's remember, I went to the Detroit Bears game in which they were like 6-point underdogs, and they won that game by like 20. And we know what the Lions did. They almost went to the Super Bowl last year.
That is true, yeah.
So I don't know. Do I possess some sort of sorcery magic powers when I go to these games that emanates and exudes onto the players that makes them play better?
Yeah, no, I mean, that's certainly a possibility. But I have to take the logical pick here and go with Seattle. I mean, Seattle here, they're still in the hunt for the playoffs. Might not be super likely that they sneak on in, but they've still got a chance here. The Bears season is over. They don't have much to play for. They ought to just try and lose this game to improve their draft capital here. So I've got to take Seattle in this one. But I understand the logic behind it.
No, that's definitely the smarter pick. This is the only time where I'm going to let emotion take over because I'm going to the game.
Right.
If it was a Notre Dame game, though, I definitely would have taken the other team just because I'm so much more emotionally invested in Notre Dame. I got to protect myself.
Right.
But it's the Bears. Whatever happens, whatever.
Yeah.
Chargers at New England. I almost want to take New England here. It's a weird spot, like traveling all the way up there. This is, again, the longest treks you can make in the NFL unless you're going over to London or Brazil.
Right.
It's literally tip to tip. It is. I mean, down Southern California,
it's
up
like,
to Northern, It's
how you and I record this podcast, right?
Right? Yeah, I know. This is actually, I don't know if you guys realize, I mean, there's no face cam today because we're actually in person. Mr. Jake is back for the holidays, so that's how that happened. But yes, tip to tip, Chargers to New England. I'm still going to take the Chargers, but it feels a little precarious.
Yeah, I mean, after the way New England performed last week, I can definitely see the justification for wanting to pick them. But yeah, the Chargers are the much better team here. They've played better for the entirety of the season. They still need to lock up their playoff spot. And I mean, again, they're basically locked into the playoffs, but they really need to just solidify it here. So they're going to snag this win over New England.
Yeah, no, I feel like it's inevitable, but the Chargers could lose a game and still be pretty okay in terms of the playoffs because they swept Denver.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, Denver at Cincinnati. God, I'm letting my emotions take over for this one here as well. It almost feels like Denver will win this game and just completely shut down all of Cincinnati's hopes to make the playoffs because, guys, if Cincinnati were to win this game, Denver were to lose to the Chiefs, the Bengals are in. I mean, it's simple as that.
Well, they also have to win out.
Yeah, the Bengals actually also have to beat Pittsburgh in Pittsburgh. But the Steelers very well could have clinched the playoffs by then and have nothing to play for. The division might already be out of hand. If they lose to the Chiefs, the division and the Ravens win, I think the division's done. The Ravens win the division. Steelers are done. They have nothing really to play for because they already have the playoffs clinched. They sit their starters against the Bengals because, trust me, they're a conservative team. They're going to be like the Lions last year and still play their starters.
Right.
Bengals could easily win out, therefore. We've seen a lot of division rivalry games this year, or series get split, but vice versa, home and away. Like the home home team loses both times. Point being, though, and the Chiefs could also, I'm trying to think how this would work out because let's say if the Chiefs do win this week, right, then they'll probably rest their starters against the Broncos.
Yeah, that's true.
If the Steelers beat the Chiefs, then maybe the Steelers would be inclined to not rest their stars because the division could still be up for grabs if the Ravens were to lose to the Browns. But maybe do you still just rest your stars? No, I'm thinking about the following week because no one's resting their stars this week.
Oh, yeah.
It's all next week.
Yeah.
Would the Ravens... Man, there's so much going on here. Like you have to think about the Ravens, Steelers, and the Chiefs in terms of resting starters. Who's going to still be playing for something? Do the Steelers really care that much about winning the division? I mean, they're already clinched. At the end of the day, you want the Chiefs to still be playing their starters. That's the most important, I think. I think the Bengals could win either way, Steelers, because they're not really playing as well anymore. Lots of stuff going into it. I'm taking the Bengals. I really hope they make the playoffs. By the way, the odds for them to make the playoffs is plus 550, which is the lowest of any team pretty much that is kind of on the peripheral, which is an implied probability of 15.38%. So
wow. Well, good stuff, dude. I mean, it is certainly possible. I feel like it's unlikely with all of these teams kind of in the mix of will they play their starters or will they rest them. That's just a little bit concerning to me when you're betting on everything else.
I know there's a lot of moving pieces here, but I honestly think 15% is pretty high considering all that.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's certainly higher than it was last week.
So. Yeah, I mean, Denver losing to the Chargers is absolutely mammoth.
Yeah, no, that's certainly helpful. But yeah, I'm going to be taking the Bengals here as well. I do feel like they've been playing better lately. I just wanted to mention there's been enormous amount of line movement here for this game. The line opened at Denver plus 8.5 and has already moved down to Denver plus 3.
Plus 8.5 sounds absolutely ridiculous.
I know.
Can't even get behind that.
I mean, Denver has been playing very well this year.
I'm not sure I even believe that. I see it, but I'm not sure I even believe that.
Maybe the lines opened like several weeks back.
Yeah, I mean, that's just absurdity.
Yeah, no, it doesn't make any sense to me at all, but even the over-unders, though, have had a ton of movement here. Opened at 45, now they're at 50.
Yeah.
And honestly, I feel like I would still take the over here. This feels like a high-scoring game to me.
Yeah, Denver's defense has been struggling, as apparent in the Chargers and the Browns game and the Colts game. By the way, if Jonathan Taylor didn't fumble that ball, Colts could be in the Broncos, and all that would have had to happen is the Bengals just to beat the Broncos this week, and then they would have made it.
Yeah.
That would have been it.
But that's not the Joe Burrow story, bro.
Yeah, it's Jonathan Taylor's fault.
It just feels like this could be another one of those years where Burrow plays fantastically and then misses the playoffs.
Yeah, no, quite possibly for sure. And actually, I misspoke because if the Colts were to have been being the Broncos, then they would have actually been very much so alive in the playoff race ahead of the Bengals. Sorry about that, but I'm passionate about the Bengals and Joe Burrow, So, Arizona at the Rams. Arizona's been sliding, skidding as of late. So I have to take the Rams here to get the win. And I think that would be a sweep. Or no, did the Cardinals get the Rams earlier in the season? I think they might have actually. Let's take a quick look here.
Let's see.
Yes, they beat them 41 to 10. Holy cow. That's right.
Huge.
Yeah, so I like the Rams in this spot for sure. Rams been playing decent. Offensively, not great, but defensively pretty good. Cardinals just super. I don't know how you lose to the Panthers like that. I mean, you were down big, came back, lost in overtime. I don't know. Kyler Murray's just been inaccurate, turned the ball over, not as good as he was earlier. Stafford, I think, should be able to shred up this Cardinals defense as they historically have been. That 41 to 10 is such an outlier in terms of like the last 4 years of these two teams playing.
Yeah, no, it's kind of wild. Like the Rams here are right now like the current 3 seed for the playoff picture, and I mean they're 9-6. They're not even like a lock to make the playoffs. Seattle here is only 1 game behind them, as crazy as that is, and they could get overtaken. So they've got a lot to play for here. And yeah, Arizona's already out of it. This one's got to go to the Rams. They need to stay alive here. But yeah, just definitely surprised that they're even on the slate here for the 3 seed when it doesn't feel like their season has been that amazing.
No, I know. It's actually crazy. They were 1-4 at one point.
I know.
So. Then we have Carolina at Tampa Bay. I think Tampa Bay will get the sweep here. They really should have lost to the Panthers earlier in the season, but they really need this win. Like, they are 100% backs up against the wall. They are now a game behind the Falcons, I think, and the Falcons swept them. So, I mean, they have to basically hope the Falcons lose both the next games and they win the next 2 games.
They have the same record as the Falcons now, actually, yeah. But both of them, like 50% chance to make it into the playoffs here. So, still very close, definitely anyone's game, but yeah, I'm with you there and taking Tampa Bay. Carolina feel like they kind of got a bit of a fluky win last week here. I mean, again, I know Arizona's been sliding, but Carolina hasn't looked great at all, and so Tampa Bay having a lot to play for here. They're going to go out and get this dub.
Yeah, no. I agree with that. And then we have the Jets at Buffalo, another divisional game here. I'm definitely going to take Buffalo despite a little shaky performance against the Patriots. The Jets showing some life over the last few weeks. Aaron Rodgers playing better. But going on the road here, only putting up, 9 points against the Rams at home. I just don't see a way where they're going to win this one.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see that happening either. I also don't see why they would want to. I mean, they're out of the playoffs. They have nothing to play for. Buffalo's got everything to play for. They still have a chance to get that first-round bye. Granted, they also have to rely on Pittsburgh beating Kansas City here, and then Kansas City also losing next week in order for the Bills to get that bye. But, I mean, it's certainly possible. They've still got stuff to play for here. So it's got to be them, even though they didn't look great against New England.
I concur. Colts at Giants. Even though it's on the road, even though Anthony Richardson only completed 7 passes, and he's really a turnover machine, extremely inaccurate, good deep ball, though. I'm going to take the Colts here. They have something to play for still. Like I said, they are technically still alive in the playoff race. They have slightly worse odds than the Bengals. The Dolphins, I guess, technically alive as well here. They have to have a lot go right. I think the Bengals' path, like I said, is a lot easier. But technically, they still have something to play for, and I think they get the win here.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. Yeah, their odds are only 14% right now. So as low as that is, they do still have a shot at it. 7-8. Ridiculous that they're on the bubble here for the playoff picture. But, yeah, I mean, the Giants have not looked great at all this season, and I still expect that the Colts will be able to roll them here. So I'm rolling with the Colts as well.
Yeah, they're like in the same exact spot they were last year. They finished 9-8, missed the playoffs, losing to the Texans there on that 4th down.
Yeah.
Whereas I really do think that, they had a really solid chance. I mean, they're really, I think, well coached. Just quarterback Anthony Richardson just ain't it. I do think he is unfortunately a bust.
Yeah, no, I mean, he probably is. Also, the Colts just hardly feel like a playoff caliber team.
No, yeah, the Bengals. Everyone wants the Bengals.
Right.
No one wants to see the Colts or the Dolphins in the playoffs.
Exactly. Yeah, Colts least of all. I could see some people want to see the Dolphins, but definitely people want the Bengals the most. They are by far the most competitive out of any of these teams.
Well, I think we could say I think the Bengals could actually win a playoff game.
Oh, for sure.
I mean,
I wouldn't bet on either of those other two to win it.
No,
game.
I mean, they probably wouldn't. They'd probably be going on the road to Buffalo, the number 2 seed, on the road to Buffalo or Kansas City.
Right.
But they've beaten both those teams in the playoff before, so I wouldn't put it past them.
Right. I mean, they have been extremely competitive lately. They've looked like one of the best teams, especially their offense. And the fact that they will more than likely than not miss the playoffs is just upsetting.
I know, it really is. It really is saddening. Green Bay at Minnesota, a huge game here in terms of seeding, number 1 seed in the NFC. If Minnesota loses, the Lions clinch it. If Minnesota wins and the Lions win, that all comes down to their final matchup in Week 18. So we know no one will be sitting starters in that game, assuming Minnesota were to win this one here at home, in which they are favored. But I don't think they're going to win. I'm going to take the Packers here. Like I said, some weird divisional games where the home team has been losing. I think it happens again here. Green Bay is so much more suited to play. I don't know if I should say more suited, but they are very, very well suited to play in domes like this. And good conditions, like we saw in the playoffs last year, just shred the Cowboys in the playoffs down there in Dallas. I think they would chew up Minnesota's defense here. I don't even think this game would be particularly close. I really like the Packers in this spot. I think they're heating up right at the perfect moment. They dominated the Seahawks, whereas Minnesota kind of struggled with them. Both of them were on the road, so very comparable there. I like Green Bay here.
Yeah, I like the pick a lot. I'm actually going to go with Green Bay as well here. I have a hard time justifying taking Minnesota to beat Green Bay twice in the same season. I don't foresee them getting a sweep when both teams are in double-digit win territory. That just feels crazy to me. Yeah. So, yeah, I'm going to take the Packers here as well.
Then we have Vegas at New Orleans. A horrible game, but I'm going to take Vegas as the road team. They're actually underdogs, which is a little surprising. I don't know if New Orleans is projected to make a quarterback change. I mean, Derek Carr is out. I mean, is it really Jake Haener versus Spencer Rattler? I thought Rattler was injured too. I mean, it's not good. It's ugly. I'm going to take Vegas. Their defense, not bad. I mean, they really limited the Jaguars yesterday, which isn't saying much. But I just feel like they're going to get a couple wins here at the end of the season against some really bad teams.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly a possibility here. I'm also going to take Vegas. I really don't have a whole lot to add about this one because I really could see it going either way. But Vegas did look semi-decent this past week against Jacksonville. Not that Jacksonville is great by any means, but, I mean, yeah, they got a dub, and let's see if they can just keep riding that 1 week high.
A little 2-game win streak.
Yeah, there you go.
Tennessee at Jacksonville, another divisional game here, which is just wild because obviously next week they're all divisional games. I'm going to take the home team Jaguars. If it was in Tennessee, I'd take Tennessee. I mean, both these teams suck.
Yeah.
It's just embarrassing. But Jaguars, Mac Jones at home, Tennessee. Offense kind of came alive. Good run game. Maybe the smart pick is the Titans. I don't really care. It's just an ugly game, even maybe worse than Vegas at New Orleans. I just think Mac Jones has a lot more to play for than Mason Rudolph in terms of their career trajectories, and that's why I'm going to go with the Jags here.
Fair enough. Yeah, this is one of our few discrepancies this week, but I'm actually going to be taking Tennessee here. Really just comes down to the fact that they were able to kind of claw back last week, kind of hold their own, keep it a one-possession game against the Colts, even though they looked like dog water at the beginning of the game here. Just think that they can come into Jacksonville and maybe kind of replicate some of that a little bit against a team that has really been struggling this year.
Yeah, no. 100%. Next up, we have Miami at Cleveland. I don't like this pick, man. Miami coming up to the cold weather. I don't know even why I want to take the Dolphins. Probably because they're starting Dorian Thompson-Robinson now and not even Jameis Winston. But so I'm going to roll with the Dolphins. I love the under in this game. I don't think the Dolphins will be able to score much, and I don't think Cleveland will even be able to score all that much either. Just another really probably meaningless game, despite the Dolphins still technically being alive. Some tough games here. This is not a great slate outside of those early week games on Christmas.
Yeah, no, I mean, I like your pick there with the under. It actually seems quite surgical. The starting line was over 43.5, and it has since bet down to 40.5, and yet 92% of the public is
still on the under.
Is on the over.
They're on the over?
Yeah,
it is a very low number, though.
I know, yeah, it's a low number, but like I feel like that's telling you, like, hey, bet the under, you know?
Yeah,
like
no, that's
Vegas,
what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like, if it's already set that low, I mean, they're really telling you this game, there's going to be no points scored.
Right. Exactly, yeah. So I like that pick a lot, and Cleveland has just looked terrible. They couldn't do a thing last week against the Bengals. It's just embarrassing to watch their franchise. Dolphins coming alive a little bit the past few weeks, so I'm going to be taking them here as well. But yeah, not a great game to watch.
Agreed. Dallas at Philadelphia. What am I doing? No, is Jalen Hurts going to play? Like, that's the real question right here.
I think Jalen is out, bro.
Is that what they're saying? Oh, he is ruled out with a concussion.
And
Did the line go absolutely wild? Because when I checked this morning, Philadelphia was 9.5-point favorites. And at that point, I know for sure he wasn't ruled out yet. God, that line probably snapped in half.
Mm-hmm. I mean, yeah, it probably did.
They're still 9.5-point favorites on CBS Sports.
That's crazy
behavior. Check FanDuel, though. God, I would hammer Dallas plus 9.5. I'd hammer Dallas money line.
Yeah, I mean, we're taking them straight up. Also on the app, it says Dallas plus 2.5 was the opening line. So these lines must have been set so long ago.
Oh my God, it's still 9.5 Eagles.
How?
Kenny Pickett? Are you kidding me?
Kenny Pickett is injured, bro.
Who? He got hurt too?
Yeah, he had a bunch of X-rays on his ribs. Like, they're worried he's not even going to play.
So we have to slam this Dallas plus 9.5 at minus 105 and the plus 380 money line.
Yeah, bro.
Right?
I mean, I don't get it. Even on CBS Sports, it says the public bet is 51% Dallas, 49% Eagles with these crazy lines.
That is just bewildering.
Yeah.
Because I do see... Oh, wait, no. It's not official he's been ruled out yet.
Kenny or Jalen?
Jalen. It's not official.
Not official. I mean, he's got a concussion, bro.
I mean, you would think, right, that he's not going to play, but he seemed like he was almost good and to almost come back. Like, he wanted to come back in the Commanders game.
I mean, yeah, I guess it's a possibility, but, like, there's also a lot of value to be had here if those guys do not play, and with the line being as high as it is,
right?
Like, I would be willing to take that bet that one of those guys or both of them do not play, and in that case, you're getting a steal for Dallas here.
Yeah, I mean, that is just such a premium in terms of value in that line.
Right.
Wow. Well, we'll see how it all pans out. I would be pretty surprised if he ends up playing. I don't think if they are truly saying he had a concussion, you're not playing the next week. I mean, You're not playing 7 days after. You're probably not going to play for another 2 weeks, right?
I would not think so. But, yeah, it's crazy. Both of us here picked Dallas with this crazy spread because we're operating under the expectation that Hurts will not be playing.
Yeah, I mean, you would really think so, but I guess, because it's not official, Vegas is holding that line at 9.5.
Yeah, I guess so.
Kind of sticking their neck out there. They could get really burned.
They could indeed, yeah, unless they know something that we don't.
That's what I'm worried about
now.
Like,
now they just want us. They're baiting us into taking it.
I might hold off on placing any wagers on that game, although I really, really want to take advantage of it.
Mm-hmm.
All right, anyways, Atlanta at Washington. Easy pick here, Washington. Michael Penix came in for the Falcons and looked all right. Interception wasn't really his fault. He was decently efficient, but rookie quarterback going on the road to Washington, another rookie quarterback that feels so much so like a veteran, though, at this point. I don't think this game will be particularly competitive, and therefore I will be taking the Commanders.
I gotcha. Yeah, I also am taking the Commanders here. Michael Penix, yeah, he didn't look amazing, but the Falcons themselves looked quite solid. They had some scores on defense there, and they also had Bijan looking nice, scoring 2 tuds on the day. But yeah, Michael Penix in his debut, no tuds. So although the Falcons look great, it doesn't seem that it was because of his performance. So for that reason, I've got to go with Washington here. Feels like Atlanta is bound to come back down to earth a little bit after putting up 30-plus points for probably one of the first weeks in like pretty much the entire season. Like they never put up that many points. Three times actually the whole season they put up 30-plus, and they were in like the first 8 games. So in any case, it's got to be Washington.
Yeah, I agree with that one for sure, Ski. And last but not least, Monday Night Football is Detroit at San Francisco, a game that looked a lot more enticing week 1, preseason, week 2, week 3, and now looks really not great. San Francisco completely falling off of a cliff, while Detroit's defense is very banged up. I'm still going to ride with the Lions to get this win. I'm not even going to worry about biting it down the 2.5 or 3. I like him at 3.5 to cover. San Francisco is a tire fire right now. Brock Purdy not playing nearly as well as last year. Jared Goff playing incredible, even without David Montgomery, even without Aiden Hutchinson. They're mad about last year, and this is a team that would use that anger to their advantage. I mean, they're such an emotionally driven team that revenge factor, I think, is heightened here.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I'm taking Detroit here to honestly hammer San Francisco. Doesn't matter that the 49ers are at home. I can't believe the spread is only 3.5. Like, I would love to just take that again. I just feel like I'm being a bozo, though, and that I put Detroit to cover the spread every single week in my best bets. But
hey, they've been good against the spread, though.
They have been nice against the spread for sure. So, yeah, taking Detroit here. I don't even think it'll be close.
All right, moving on into my best bets. I just want to get this one out of the way, by the way. I'm going to take Carolina +8. They have beaten the spread. They have covered the spread in 6 of their last 7 games.
That's impressive.
Okay? And they've won several of those straight out. Like they were underdogs in the Cardinals game, the Giants game, and the Saints game. They won all of those, and they really should be in the Bucs in overtime. So I feel like you're going to give me 8 points. That feels like free money. Also, I mean, they really should have been the Eagles a couple weeks ago on the dropped almost game-winner touchdown pass from Xavier Legette. But getting back in the timeline here, you have the Hawaii Bowl. I'm going to take San Jose State -3. South Florida's got a lot of traveling to do to get out to Hawaii. San Jose State, not quite as much. I also think they're just a much better team. Pittsburgh, I'm going to take them +3. That's the alt spread. Probably would be around -140, 130. Again, like I said, Pittsburgh, Mike Tomlin, underdog against the spread. They're bound to start clipping on some of these. I also like the over 44 in that game. You know, like we've been talking about all season, Pittsburgh overs are really the play. Almost every game for them has gone over. And yet, because everyone perceives them as having a great defense, which they do, they still give up a lot of points, and they're capable of scoring quite a bit, as we saw in that Bengals game. Chicago +3.5. Take them on the money line too, maybe, but 3.5 also works. I also like the over 43.5 in that game. I mean, Seattle and the Bears. Bears defense, similar to Pittsburgh, kind of touted as decent, but really has been giving up droves of points over the last few weeks. Seattle giving up, on average, 30 points per game over the last few here as well. Getting into some bowl games here. Texas Tech money line against Arkansas. I like Texas A&M -3.5 against USC. Don't even worry about the hook. I like the Syracuse-Washington State under 59.5. These two teams highly potent on offense, but lots of opt-outs. I'm pretty sure Washington State's quarterback John Mateer has transferred and will not be playing in this game. I think he's at Oklahoma now. Syracuse, though, mostly intact, but they're like -16, so I'm not going to sniff that, but I do like the under here just because of Washington State's quarterback, the major playmaker, being gone. I mean, it really does feel like Syracuse will win like 30-15 type of thing, or like a 40-15 type of thing. Cincinnati -3, sure, why not? Chargers and New England over 42. Again, these teams both are pretty capable offensively, and the Chargers defense has not been as good as of late. A lot of defenses have been kind of falling apart. I also like Jacksonville on the money line, minus 115. Green Bay, money line plus 100. Vegas, money line plus 110. Dallas, I'm going to just take them plus 10.5 on the alt spread for now, since we're a little bit unknown on Jalen Hurts' status. I'm going to take Washington minus 4 against the Falcons, and the Miami-Cleveland under 40. Detroit minus 3.5, like I said. And then lastly, the Music City Bowl, Iowa-Mizzou over 40 points.
Really like the picks, bro. Especially Washington minus 4. I have that on my best bets as well. It just feels like a game where Atlanta is like hardly going to put up any points, like sub 10 points out of the Falcons this week. I just think Michael Penix is going to have a really bad game. Like, they had a good showing, not him personally, but good showing for the Falcons in his first game.
Yeah.
Not sustainable. They're not going to put up many points in this game facing a solid team. So going to go with Washington minus 4 there. Then you've got Buffalo minus 10 against the Jets here. I think that Buffalo is going to come back after a really close game, and they're just going to hammer the Jets. I don't think this game will be very close. Then you've got Baltimore minus 5.5 against the Texans. Hard for me to bet this one a little bit, just because being from Houston, I want to support the Texans, but
Right.
It scares me with the way they've been playing. The turnovers. The turnover differential between Lamar and CJ is just immense. I've got to go with Baltimore to win this game by at least a touchdown. Then finally, I've got Detroit at San Fran under 51. Feel like the 49ers are hardly going to score in this game as well. And don't feel like Detroit's going to put up their 40-plus points in this game. So I'm going to hit the under for this one.
Yeah, no, some good bets there. Buffalo scares me a little bit on the minus 10.
It's girthy. It is a little girthy
yeah.
against Aaron, but
I don't know. Against bad teams, they just haven't been covering like we saw with the Patriots there.
No, I mean, the same was true last year, yeah, but I feel like this week could be an exception.
Yeah, no, it's definitely possible. Do we have our new picks? It appears that we do for fan mail.
Oh, yeah, dude. The fans were locked this week. We got new picks. For Jimmy here, we've got Chiefs, Ravens, Seahawks, Chargers, Bengals, Rams, Bucks, Bills, Colts, Vikings, Raiders, Titans, Dolphins, Commanders, Lions, Eagles. Let's see, anything noteworthy there. So Jimbo's got the Chiefs. I know you had the Steelers here. Seahawks when you had the Bears. Then we've got, who else is he hammering here? Vikings over Green Bay. We both took Green Bay there, so that one's a little bit bold, but I guess not too bold because, I mean, they're very competitive teams.
It's basically
teams,
a pick-em in terms of the spread.
Yeah. And then for my dad here, we've got Steelers, Ravens, Seahawks, Chargers, Bengals, Rams, Colts, Bills, Titans, Vikings, Saints, Bucks, Dolphins, Eagles, Commanders, and Lions. So both of them here taking the Eagles when both of us took Dallas. So interesting to note there. And yeah, my dad's on your side with taking the Steelers. How do you feel about that?
I think he's a smart man. I mean, he's probably had his worst week, and that was still 10-6.
Yeah.
He's been going absolutely off this entire 3 quarters, the final 3 quarters of the season. So that makes me feel a little more confident in my pick. Yeah.
There you go. So yeah, that about wraps up the fan mail here, but yeah, we're in good shape, bro. Final 2 weeks of the season here and looking forward to the playoff picture.
Yeah, I'm very excited, and this is really when I get tuned into the NFL. I definitely have been more into college lately, but once the playoffs come, it's a completely different ballgame.
Right, yeah, you have to get locked into the playoffs, figuring out the probabilities for all these teams to make it.
Yeah.
It's always a blast seeing what it takes for the Bengals to make the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, getting them in there would really, I think, make the playoffs more exciting. Because I think Broncos would probably get rolled, or whoever that 7 seed is would probably get beat up pretty good by the Bills, assuming the Bills settle into that 2 seed. I really just don't think that they will be that competitive. I mean, you could see the Broncos being up on some bad teams. Almost got beat, though, so I have a couple pick sixes by the Browns. So I think the Broncos are a little overrated. Bo Nix kind of turnover machine a little bit. We saw Jane Daniels probably like really secure his spot for the offensive player or the rookie of the year rather with the 5 touchdown performance. I think it's just undeniable at this point, even though Bo Nix made a little bit of a run there while Jane Daniels was down. I just think the Broncos are a little overrated. We'll know more after this weekend, but I think the playoffs would be better for it if the Bengals got in.
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely like to see the Bengals in as well, but I think the Broncos are still solid. Like, if we were to take the 7 teams that are currently in it right now, I think that the Texans would be the worst out of them. Like, I would pick the Broncos or the Chargers in a game over the Texans at the moment. It's just the Texans have a seemingly less competitive division that's like putting them up in that 4 seed.
Yeah, I mean, they swept the Titans. Well, they probably will be sweeping every divisional opponent. They've already swept the Colts. I think they've already swept the Jags. And they got one more game here against the Titans, right? So that's a free 6 wins, okay?
Exactly.
And if they settle as a 10-win team, that's 60% of your wins. You only won 4 games outside of your division. That is a sign that you're just not that good.
Right, yeah. So that's the team that I feel like should be removed from the playoffs. But because of how the division...
I think we could say the same thing on the other side with the Falcons. I mean, both AFC and NFC South are just kind of bad.
Undoubtedly. Like, it's just annoying that, like, you got to see, like, a team like the Falcons get into the playoffs and then the Bengals miss the playoffs.
It is going to be wild. Like, you could have Bo Nix, Michael Penix, and Jane Daniels, 3 rookie quarterbacks in the playoffs. I don't know if that's ever happened in the history of the NFL. 3 first-year starting rookie quarterbacks in the playoffs. That's pretty crazy, but they all 3 of them started like 4 or 5 years in college. So they came in a lot more polished than Drake May and Caleb Williams, who only had like 2 to 3 years of starting experience. And I don't know, maybe there's just no correlation there, but kind of feels like there is. But I feel like if you took, let's think of a good team here. I feel like if you took the Broncos and put them in like the NFC South, they would roll. Like they would be like an 11-win team or a 12-win team, and they're probably going to finish around the 9 to 10-win mark.
Yeah, no, I mean, I honestly would like to see that because it would add a little bit more of a differential into that division when the Falcons and the Bucs always kind of hover right around that 500 mark. And even the Saints, not this year, but Saints are normally right up there with it as well.
Last year, all 3 of them were within a game of each other.
Right, exactly. And that seems to be the kind of the way that it normally goes for those teams. So
yeah, almost kind of like college football-esque with the Big 12 and the ACC being weaker conferences, but still gaining or securing that automatic qualifier and bye for their conference champions. Actually, more so this year, it was the Mountain West because they had a higher rated champion than Boise State than Clemson. That's why Clemson didn't get a bye. Boise State did, but Boise State and Arizona getting byes as like the 9 and 10th best teams in the country.
Yeah.
Whereas a bunch of teams ranked ahead of them that we all know are better than them did not get byes. It almost feels like the playoffs could be restructured a little bit, especially in terms of college. I could go on and on about college. I mean, the fact that Oregon is an underdog in their first playoff game as a 13-0 absolute dominant team is ridiculous.
That's some buffoonery, bro.
They should be playing the worst seed right now, like either Boise State or Arizona State. They should be playing one of those two. It should not have been seeded and structured. There's no reseeding in the playoffs either. So it's not like Oregon would get the lowest remaining seed. No, they're getting shafted with like the best team in the playoffs, and then they have to go play Texas in all likelihood.
Yeah, I know that's definitely a little scary for them, but I'm sure they'll be able to handle themselves.
No, I know. I think they might lose, but they still have a great season.
Yeah.
But that's all we have for you guys today. Thank you, as always, for listening. Have a great holiday, and we will see you next week. Yeah, we should be able to record.
Yeah.
We'll have to record, I think, on Monday.
Sounds good to me, yeah.
Awesome. We'll see you guys then. Bye now.